Today was going to be a pretty interesting day of chasing along the CSX. This trip took me all the way towards Etowah, Tennessee. My friend Adam and I tagged along together as we head north on US 411. En route, we pulled off in Rydal, Georgia, running into Q541 heading south, as we catch them going by Pine Log. Q541 runs out of Cincinnati, Ohio, bound for Waycross, Georgia, with points in between to work, including Wyvern and North Yard in Cartersville, Doghouse Yard in Union City, and Peachtree City occasionally here in Georgia. They were powered by a pair of 800 series ES44 AHs, one in the lead and the other mid-train. In the early summer of 2019, CSX released two locomotives in two special paint schemes, one being Honoring Our First Responders as CSXT 911 and the other being Honoring Our Veterans as CSXT 1776. I got a report from Ohio that these two units would be sole power on a K423 loaded ethanol train bound for Tampa. This was my intended plan for today, chasing them all the way from Etowah back towards Atlanta, and I know I won't be the only one out here. Adam and I were passing through the town of Oakman when I heard this on the radio.
Taking 376 south there, 392, K44909.
I immediately pulled a turnaround and went back a few crossings on the south end of Oakman. CSX K449 was this train here, with a trio of AC-44 CWs. K449 also happened to be a reroute, usually running on the Clinchfield. I'm not sure why it was running down this way. They would take the Abbeville Subdivision north once they got to Atlanta. We continue moving north, now on the outskirts of Chatsworth, Georgia, where the new Appalachian Regional Port opened up not too long ago. This is where C709 and C710 will come in and out of. We continue into Tennessee with hopes that a crew wasn't called yet out of Etowah for K423. I will say this, if you ever make the drive north to Etowah, the scenery on US 411 is absolutely beautiful. It's nothing but a huge highway with lots of mountains surrounding the area. We finally get to Etowah with still no crew called for K423, which is good for now, but that'll turn eventually. We pull into the old L&N depot with CSX's Etowah yard in the backyard. One thing to point out amongst the freight cars out here was an old, unpatched Clinchfield Railroad hopper car. With the condition that all of these railroad cars are in, it was best to shoot this before it was either patched, repainted, or scrapped. This car dates back to the late 60s. CSX train Q241 had just gotten a crew ready to depart Etowah, so we got to see some movement before all went standing still for a while. The only other movement we saw was a CSX high railer following Q241. Other than that, it was nothing but sitting and waiting until a crew was called for K423. Q241 left Etowah a little after 1100. It wasn't until around 1500 when we heard that a crew was finally called. Lucky for us, it was going to run in daylight.
Well, let me fill you in on what's going on here. So according to the AC, K42310 is on duty. They've been on duty since 1510. It is now 1521, 3:21 in the PM. We are going to South End Etowah to see if we can get eyes on him. He should be departing soon. We've been sitting at the Etowah L&N depot for the past 4 or 5 hours or so, and we've only seen like 3 trains. CSX 911 and 1776. I need these checked off.
And all of that waiting surely paid off, even for all of these people waiting for the same train. CP South End Etowah had the old LNN searchlight signals still standing at the time this video was shot. This was the closest we could get to the yard standing on the County Road 890 overpass. We finally hear at 16:15 the dispatcher giving a signal indication to K423, which meant it was chase time. The crew probably knew as well that they were going to be very famous today. All then race south to our next spot to get them again. The tracks wouldn't be easily accessible until you got to Ocoee, Tennessee, about 20 miles south of Etowah. I had already planned on shooting at South End Ocoee with the old LNN searchlights still standing, but it was soon going to be replaced by the newly equipped signals next to it. About less than a month after this video was shot, the new signals were cut over. The crew then receives an EC1 for a speed restriction.
EC1 number 80665, 80665, 61219 OC 357.2 to K423, 10. There's a 911 Telux, circle line 5A. Do not exceed the following speed, 25 over 25 miles per hour on the main track between Milepost OC 398.3, Milepost OC 398.4. Yes on the signs, over.
I've got an EC1 number 80665, days 806-12-19, OC 357.2 on a K42310, CSX engine 911, W&A Atlanta Terminal Subdivision. Circle line 5A, you got a 25-25 on the main track between the OC 398.3 and OC 398.4, yes on signs, over.
1701 VJC, over.
1701 VJC.
Alright, thanks, yeah.
My next spot to get them would be at the Georgia-Tennessee state line, thus the name Tennga, Georgia, at the US 411 overpass. I then moved to Crandall, Georgia, just south of the Chatsworth Intermodal Terminal. Next spot would be on the other side of Chatsworth, overlooking the Carters Lake Regulation Dam, turning into the Coosawattee River right under where I'm standing at. The shot wasn't what I was expecting, but still a neat perspective. I got ahead of them coming through Ranger and pulled off just on the north side of Fairmount at Pinhook Road. Listen to the defect detector give out the axle count and length.
CSX Equipment Defect Detector. Milepost 399.6. No defects. Length of train 5638. Total axle 388. End of transmission.
The crowds all gather as we're back at Pine Log, with the famous Sea Rock City sign in the background. Norfolk Southern's very own Casey Thomason was even out for this CSX train. The next stop was in Cartersville, where I picked up my friend Tom to continue chasing K423 south, now entering the W&A Subdivision. We set up at the West Avenue crossing next to the Cartersville defect detector.
CSX Equipment Defect Detector, Milepost 47.4. No defects. No defects. Total axle 388. Train length 5622. End of transmission.
Continuing south, K423 muscles up the hill coming through Emerson. I had a great idea that popped in my mind for our next shot, if we were to make it there. Luckily, with no problems, we get to Sandtown Road at the grave of an unknown hero. With these two special CSX units, I thought this would be a perfect dedication to whoever this hero was. There was no chance in getting them again until we got to Marietta, where we had an extra treat in store. Train Q542 was coming north, while K423 was already by Elizabeth. That leaves us with a rolling meet through the square, which usually doesn't happen often.
And we're getting all of them from that production. I bet you are. Probably the AD580 about 4 minutes. I just flew on waiting here for you right now, Marietta.
22310 CSX engine 911 southbound.
Since leaving Etowah, K423 never stopped until they got to Smyrna to wait on a few northbounds out of Atlanta. Of course, it got dark by then, which timed this chase perfectly. The first of the northbounds was Q580, a daily manifest freight train running from Greenwood, South Carolina to Nashville, Tennessee. Following Q580 was Q582, daily manifest freight train out of Hamlet, North Carolina, also bound for Nashville. The consist was set with one engine leading and the other in the middle. This is what we like to call precision. last northbound was Q142, intermodal train out of Jacksonville bound for North Baltimore, Ohio. The consist was set up with one engine leading up front and the other pushing on the rear. With all of the northbound traffic now out of the way, K423 can now finish their run towards Atlanta after sitting in Smyrna for over 3 hours. Today was definitely a day to be remembered, being able to see these two special units in person and chasing them from terminal to terminal. It was also great to see lots of friends along the way, making this chase well worth it. I gotta give a shout out though to Eric Hendrickson for the fine work created for these two locomotives. This was a great move for CSX. Give a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's video. and please subscribe if you are new, and enable that notification bell so you don't miss out on any other new videos. That's going to do it for today from Smyrna, Georgia, along the CSX Atlanta Terminal Subdivision.